Good afternoon. My name is Holly Miller with Country Road Crafts, and today I'm going to talk about Lazy Susan. And the Lazy Susan you see here is one that I did ahead of time. It turns, and I did it all from scratch. So I did a decoupage on top, and I'm going to show you guys and go through the process on how to make a beautiful Lazy Susan for your table. First, I started with basic wood. I got the first piece of wood from Hobby Lobby, just a piece of wood from Hobby Lobby. It's kind of expensive. I was like, I'm only going to buy one. But when I came home and showed my husband, we had scrap laying around. So I just painted a piece of scrap, which works fine. So you're going to need two pieces. You're going to need a top piece a little bit bigger than a bottom piece. You're going to need the Lazy Susan turntable, if you can see that. I got it from Home Depot. It did not come with screws, so Frank had to find screws for me. But it is just the table that you put the Lazy Susan on. So what you will do is just put the two together, and you'll have the turntable. I'll have to do this putting it on afterwards because it's a long process, and I don't know how to do it. Frank knows how to do it, and right now I'm just going to decorate the Lazy Susan itself. So I'm going to put this out of the way. And first thing I want to do is I took a piece, I have a small, actually I took a small piece of wood and I primed it with just a white color ahead of time so we don't have to wait for it to dry. And I cut a butterfly out of my decoupage paper because I didn't want the whole decoupage paper on my board because I want to do a sponge paint on it because I like doing sponge paint. But I cut this with the scissors, and what I want to do is make it the edges kind of jagged or not so uniform. Like I don't know if you can see that, how it's kind of like, I don't know. See how it's like ripped like? So how I'm going to do that is I just take a small brush. See that? With some water. I just put some water in a cup. And I just touch the edges and I pinch it off so it's not so rigid. So I'm just going to follow the line that I want to pinch with some water. And then I just take it and just pinch it off. And it makes it look not like I cut it. It makes it look like it was ripped. Which I cut it first because I want to get a specific. If I was to rip this, it would rip in two. And then it would be holy moly. It would not be good. So to do it like this is much easier. And it'll not kill it because I will kill it. But if it doesn't rip easy, just wet it and then just pinch it. And I take my nails and pinch it, but you can pinch it with your fingertips. It makes it kind of jagged, like it was ripped. That's the look I'm looking for. So, just going to pinch it off the edge. Delia, you're the only one on with me today, but that's okay. Because I'm going to share it, and a lot of people will see it. And you'll know how to do a Lazy Susan for your house. How about that? I did some paint pours today. I did a beautiful tabletop today. I'll show you guys that later on Facebook when I get the pictures done. You see how that's ripping? Like the edges are not, just trying to make them not, like I cut them with a piece of scissors. I want it jagged. Oh, good. I'm glad because video is good to do. Is the video looking okay on the screen? Oh, good. Thank you, sweetheart. Both screens are looking good because on mine it still looks pixelated, but it's okay. If it looks good on your side, that's all that matters. And I try to go slow when I do the rip because if I go too fast and get too much on it, it rips too much and it doesn't do what I want. So to have a little control over it, you have to do small pieces. I think I'm going to go back and do that one piece right there. Okay, so right here, I'm going to do I'm going to try to do it without ripping it. Put a little bit of water right there and just pinch it so it looks a little, I want it to go back a little bit and I want it to be a little bit of space between the, yeah, like that. Do the same thing on this side just to get a little bit of space in there. Okay, and there's my tour looking butterfly. Okay, so set this to the side. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the top part of my Lazy Susan that I already painted. I figure out which side was the top. I think this side was the top. And I would think I want to set it off, pinch that off, set it off to the side a little bit. Does that look okay? Offset a little bit, maybe. Okay, I think that's what I'm going to do. So you can, the decoupage, the medium that I use, you could use Collage Pause. Here, I like this, you can see it. Collage Pause. And this is, I bought this at like, I think I bought it on Amazon. But you can buy it at Michael's or at Hobby Lobby. And you can use Dixie Belle Gator Hide, which I used to use a lot of Gator Hide, but gotta figure out where the screen's at. There it is, Gator Hide. Or my favorite these days is Fusion Tough Coat. And it's the same thing. It's all just medium to make it stick down. Okay, so I take a sponge because it's easier for me to put a sponge on. So I put it in a little container because it's easier for me to control. And I just take a sponge and I just start at one top and just go down through it. So it's here. I'm just going to put a little bit here of medium. I don't know if you can see. And I'm just going to put it on there. And then I'm going to smooth it out. So I'm going to take a piece of paper and I'm just going to smooth it out to get it on there. And if you guys can see. Ooh. And I'm going to continue just moving a little bit or painting a little bit of medium underneath and moving it. Making sure I don't get too much medium on there. Just paint it on. And this is just a top coat type. So any kind of top coat that you have, you can use. Actually, I'm going to get an old piece of decoupage paper and use that instead. It's a little smaller than this piece of tissue. I'm just going to lay the edges down and make sure there's no bubbles in it. You don't want to have bubbles in your decoupage. It's nice and slow. So if you rush it, last night I rushed it, or Thursday night I tried to do this. Last night I didn't try this, but Thursday night I rushed it and it was raining here. And I put the medium down and it dried before I could finish it on the edges. And I didn't get enough medium in the middle because I was rushing. My dogs needed to go out in the middle of all this. And when I came back, there was a big air bubble in the middle. And then I had to rip it back up. So make sure you get the medium down and make sure you have all the air bubbles out before it dries. Because if you wait after it dries, then there's a problem. And what I did, which I got mad at, I just ripped it all up. But on the first, on the completed one I showed you, I took the ripped up one and put it around the edges like a flower around the edges. So it really, I used it, but, so I'm going slow and just putting the medium down and getting the bubbles out. I'm making sure I don't put too much medium down because then it will show up underneath if it's too much medium. Okay, if you think you need to smooth it out, you can use one of these tools. You can see that, or one of these tools. I like this one. So what I'm going to do is just make sure that there's not too much medium underneath and just make sure it's laying down good and all the air bubbles are out again. There's an air bubble right there. You see that? And you just work it out. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is put medium on the top. So I'm just going to put some medium on the top just to seal it, just on the butterfly. And it doesn't take a lot, it just takes a little thin coat. And when I'm done with the whole thing, I'll put another coat on to seal the paint and everything. Okay. How's that look? Look okay? Now what I'm going to do is I am going to sponge paint to make it look layered around the edges because I want different layers around the edges. So I am going to take orange, well it's coral, it's not orange, it's coral. And I'm going to put it on my sponge and then I'm going to offload it. And then I am going to just dab it around just to make colors. Well, I offload too much. Okay, so I'm just going to dab it around and make colors all over this board because this is what I want to do. And I have 3 different colors. I have this orange, I have a blue, I'm using Little Well, and I have a gray Little Lamb. And the orange or coral, it's called coral. It's Fusion Mineral Paint's what I'm using. So I'm just trying to give it a little color around it just so it's not so white, and I want it to blend in with my butterfly. You guys have any questions? If you have questions, just put them in the comments if I don't get to them, and I'll answer them after the live if I don't see them. Because sometimes I can see them, and sometimes I can't. I want the top coat, I want this coral coat to be a little heavier than the rest, so I am trying to get it. Okay. Then I'm going to use the blue, and I'm going to get a different sponge for a different kind of texture. So I'm just going to use a littler sponge, just a little different. I got fuzz on it from my dog. Don't want to get the fuzz in my painting. There it goes. Okay, no fuzz from blue, just saying. And I'm just going to dab some of this blue in here just to give it a little bit of color. Just fill it in. Just to give it a little color. Because that, I use raw silk for the base, and it gives it a little bit of, I like the white, but I don't want it to be all white. And I'm dabbing it just to give it color. And then if you want more or less, or you can do 3 or 4, I'm using 3 colors. You can use 4 colors. Now, I'm going to flip this over to the other side, and this is just stained. You can see that it's stained. So I'm going to use the gray on this side. It's a different texture. A lot of paint on it. And I'm just going to dab. I don't know if you can tell the different colors on there. How's that looking, Delia? I'm going to twist it a little. Twist my gray a little to make little swirls in it. You can twist it. I'm going to make swirls in it. Change my mind. I like the swirls. My sponge is falling apart. How's that? You see 2 colors? Do you see the blue? What colors do I need to add more of, see? The blue? Grab some of this. The blue might be a little bit light. I may have to darken up with a different color blue. It seems, but I like it like this. I just wanted a subtle blue because there's not a whole lot of blue in the butterfly. So you probably make it neon. Pull it closer to you guys to see it. Oh, rainbow. Can you see the different colors? Okay. Let me finish this up. Okay, so once it's finished, what you're going to do is put a top coat to seal the whole thing. So I got that, and I'm going to put the same top coat I put on for the decoupage on top of the paint, because the paint is dry. If the paint wasn't dry, you would dry it first, but I just dabbed it on so it's light and thin, so I don't have to dry it. If it needs dried, then dry it first, but this is just dabbed on, and then just put a coat of just a top coat on the top just to seal it. Oh, with the top coat, you're seeing it better? Yeah. Cool. Just put a top coat on. And then just gonna let it dry. After it dries, we'll go ahead and put the bottom part on it, and then you have a lazy Susan.